Do you ever use compression on kick drum or any other drum?
Oh, yeah. I'll in the end, in the mixing stage, I'll have a lot of compression on the drums. But it depends entirely on the song. If it's like a pop song that has to be like very whacked and in your face, it really depends on the songs. But I do end up, I like to compress the bus of the kit, though I don't include the bass drum in that. And I like to compress the top half of the kit so it's sort of like riding together, and then I'll have the bass drum in there. I do not compress a bass drum in mixing.
And what do you use to compress with? Do you use
plugins
or outboard?
Well, if I'm mixing on a console like this, I like to use like something like I'll use. Recently, my favorite thing is called a Phoenix compressor. That is an all-tube compressor from Thermionic Culture, as this company is called. And
is it stereo?
It's a stereo compressor. I mean, the drum kit's going to be stereo, so it has to be a stereo compressor on it. Just like anything that is stereo and you want to maintain a center image, it's got to have a stereo compressor. So I'll use that on the drums, and I will sometimes, if the snare drum calls for a little more whack, I will either gate. I'll put a compressor on the snare drum, or I'll put another snare drum with the snare drum. It's just something that I like to do.
You mean a sample?
A sampled snare drum with that snare drum. A lot of times if a drummer is, how shall I say, hitting the drum all over the place because of youthful enthusiasm or whatever.
I mean he's just not consistent?
Right, or non-consistency. I will pick one of the snare hits on the song or two, and then I will put that snare hit on another track and add that to the snare track.
So you don't want too much bottom end on a jazz kick
On
drum.
anything, you have to watch out for the bottom end loading up. I mean, the past 10 years, 8 years, the idea of using subwoofers with your small monitors has come along, and it's been a really, really great advancement in monitoring. Many, many times I've done things in a studio where I didn't trust the large monitors, and I'm ending up mixing on NS10s, and when I go into master, couple times, not many times. I was, 2-3 times I would go in and I didn't know what was happening at 30, and we end up having to like filter out some of the bottom end because I didn't have a chance. I didn't hear it in the studio, even in some studios with large monitors. But using subwoofers these days with NS10s or with whatever you're using for monitors gives you a chance to hear what's happening on the bottom, which also is a lot of energy, and it can drain the volume of your mix. So, and a lot of times you'll play a synthesizer and you don't know it's going and stepping all over the subharmonics. That it would behoove you to listen to them, and that's why I'm so into having a sub with.
Do you get enough low end on the wall speakers with the big 15-inch woofers and the subwoofers?
It depends. Here's what happens with the soffited large speakers in the wall. The room becomes a big issue. And so that what I'll do is I'll come in and listen to something that I'm really familiar with to find out what's happening all across the spectrum. But I've found so many bizarre things with large monitors in studios where they'll be bi-amped, they have to have crossover points, they will have time aligned their monitors in order to get the sound right, and I'll come in and I can hear all those bizarre things that they'll do to try to compensate for a room situation. So you have to, if you're in a room that is new to you, you have to be sure that the large monitors are you have to be sure to what you're hearing. And you should listen a lot on them. That's why I'll go into a room, and if I'm in there and I have to do something really quick, I will rely mostly on the near field monitors because they are not as affected by the room, and I know NS10 so well, I can tell what's happening there.